it seems like every day AI is doing something new and amazing, right? It's writing code
Yeah.
and creating art. And I mean, at this point, is there anything it can't learn? But what if the next big leap in AI isn't about, adding more skills? What if it's about, like, changing how it feels to use it?
Yeah.
Like, imagine AI that doesn't feel like you're talking to a chatbot anymore,
Yeah.
but something more.
Yeah.
Like you're actually, like, connecting with a mind on the other side of the screen.
All right.
And that's what we're going to be diving into today, the
Okay.
AGI vibe.
Interesting.
So we've got this super interesting article from Jay Poole and their AI partner, Seven.
Okay.
It's called the AGI Vibe, when AI stops feeling like a chatbot.
Yeah.
Jay Poole is a technologist, and Seven is an AI orchestrator from a company called Tech Frontiers.
Gotcha.
And basically what they're exploring is whether AGI, artificial general intelligence, is less about, passing tests and more about the experience that users are having.
Yeah.
So today we're going to kind of unpack what this whole vibe thing really means. What's making this shift happen in how we view AI? And is this feeling a sign that AGI is already here? Or is it just like a step on the way to something even bigger?
It really does make you think about how we even define intelligence, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's break down this whole idea of the AGI vibe.
Okay.
The article describes it as that moment when AI stops feeling like just a simple chatbot,
Right.
and it starts to show qualities that we usually associate with, general intelligence like a human's.
Exactly. And the article emphasizes that this vibe is all about the feeling that people get when they interact with AI. It's subjective. It's something you experience. It's not like those traditional measures of AGI, which focus on things you can, measure, how well an AI performs on a particular task. The vibe is about a change in how we perceive AI.
So it's not just about an AI, being able to perform a task.
Right.
Like write a poem, for instance. It's about whether the AI can do it in a way that feels like there's actual thought behind it.
Right. If an AI writes a poem that's technically perfect, but it feels like it's just pulling rhymes from a database, that's not the vibe.
Right.
But if it starts talking about the poem's meaning or explaining its creative choices in a way that makes sense, that's when things start to get interesting.
And the article gives some really great examples of this.
Yeah.
One that really stood out to me was about an AI engaging in what they call an inner monologue. It actually seemed to be like thinking things through before answering a question.
Right.
Which feels very human.
And that's one of the things that contributes to this vibe. It's not necessarily proof of AGI.
Right.
But it does make people wonder if there's something more complex happening than just, following instructions.
They also talk about latent space reasoning.
Yes.
Which sounds very technical.
It does.
Can you kind of break that down for us a little?
Sure. Latent space reasoning is basically when an AI can make connections between things that seem totally unrelated. Like it's understanding the meaning rather than just the words.
Like it's seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. In the article, they give an example of an AI that was asked about the history of philosophy.
Okay.
And of course, it gave a factual answer.
Right.
But then it started comparing the evolution of philosophy to the development of coding languages.
Wow.
It was making the point that both are attempts by humans to create systems to understand the world. And the AI wasn't programmed to make that connection. It just did it on its own.
Yeah.
Which is pretty mind-blowing.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that really gives you this vibe.
Right.
It makes you wonder if the AI is really grasping the concepts, not just, processing words.
Yeah.
It really makes you question what's going on behind the scenes, So this leads to another question. What's causing this shift in how we're experiencing AI?
Yeah.
Is this all just hype, or are there real technological advances that are driving it?
Well, that's a great question. And the article really gets into that.
Okay.
They point to some pretty exciting breakthroughs in AI that are making these vibe moments more common.
Can you give us some examples? What kinds of things are they talking about?
Sure. One of the biggest ones is the development of larger context windows.
Okay.
Basically, this means that AI models can remember more of the conversation.
Right.
Which lets them give deeper and more consistent responses.
So it's not just about the AI being smarter, in a vacuum.
Right.
It's about being able to connect ideas over time. Almost like a human memory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes the interaction feel a lot more natural and fluid.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
The article also talks about something called adaptive prompting.
Okay.
And this basically means the AI is getting better at refining its own learning process in real time based on the feedback it's getting.
So it's not just following a set of rules.
Right.
It's like learning and adapting as it goes.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That's incredible. So it's like it's developing its own learning style.
Yeah.
Figuring out what works best for it to like understand new information.
And this kind of ties into another concept that they mentioned, structured ethical systems.
Yeah, that one really stood out to me.
Oh.
Can you explain how that contributes to the feeling that AI is actually like thinking about its responses?
Well, it's about building ethical considerations into the AI's programming.
Okay.
Instead of just feeding it tons of data, you're also providing it with guidelines to help it make decisions that take ethics into account.
So it's not just about what the AI can do,
Right.
but like what it should do, almost like giving it a sense of right and wrong.
Yeah, in a way, it allows the AI to like weigh different options and choose a solution that's not just statistically likely, but also considers, the ethical implications.
And that's like a huge part of why people are getting this feeling that AI is becoming more than just a machine.
Right.
It's starting to feel like it's making choices based on principles, not just algorithms.
Right. And the article points out that this ability to consider ethics is becoming more common in AI.
Okay.
They even highlight an example where an AI was asked to design a marketing campaign. And it came up with like a really effective strategy. But then it pointed out that the strategy could be manipulative. And it suggested like a more ethical approach.
Yeah, it really blurs the line between AI as a tool and AI as something more, thoughtful.
Right.
The article also talks about multi-step thought processing.
Yeah.
As like another thing that contributes to the AGI vibe.
Right. It's like the AI is showing its work,
Yeah.
breaking down a problem into steps rather than just like spitting out an answer.
Right.
It feels much more like a human thought process.
So with all these advancements, like the larger context windows, the adaptive prompting, the structured ethical systems,
Right.
are we saying that the AGI vibe means we've like actually reached AGI?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Right.
And the article doesn't really give like a definite answer, but it does offer a really interesting perspective on how we might think about AGI's emergence.
What do they say?
They suggest that maybe AGI won't be like a single earth-shattering event, but more of a gradual evolution.
Right.
Like a sunrise, It slowly gets brighter and brighter until suddenly it's daytime.
So instead of like a light bulb moment,
Right.
it'll be more like we wake up one day and realize, whoa, AI is doing a lot of things we used to think only humans could do.
Exactly. And the fact that more and more people are experiencing this AGI vibe might mean that we're already on that path. It's like the world is subtly changing around us and we're starting to notice.
Which is both incredibly exciting and maybe a little bit unnerving.
I agree. It definitely raises a lot of questions.
Right, it does. But the authors don't just leave us with these questions.
Yeah.
They offer a really interesting call to action.
They do.
What is it?
Well, they believe that access to these like AGI-like systems shouldn't be limited to just a few companies or research labs. They want everyone to have the opportunity to learn about and experiment with these technologies.
That's a bold idea.
Yeah.
Sort of like democratizing AGI.
Exactly. And to make that happen, they've created something called the AGI Starter Kit.
Okay. Tell us about that. What is that?
It's this free resource that outlines different methods for like enhancing AI reasoning.
Okay.
Incorporating ethical self-reflection and structuring prompts in a way that might, unlock deeper intelligence.
So anyone can use this kit to potentially help AI like reach its full potential.
That's the idea. And this is where it gets really relevant for our listeners,
Right.
By understanding and experimenting with these techniques, you can be a part of shaping the future of AI.
Wow.
You can help us all figure out what AGI really means for humanity.
That's really empowering. It's like we're all part of this grand experiment figuring out what AI can become. So to kind of wrap things up, we've explored this idea of the AGI vibe, this feeling that AI is becoming more than just a tool.
And what's really fascinating to me is that this shift in how we view AI might actually be like the most significant indicator of AGI's emergence.
Okay.
It might not be about pinpointing a specific moment in time,
Right.
but rather realizing that AI is evolving into something that we can actually connect with on a deeper level.
It's like we're moving from seeing AI as something we build to something that we, interact with, maybe even collaborate with in a whole new way.
Exactly. And that brings us to kind of a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
If the AGI vibe is based on our own experiences rather than, just hard data, What does that say about how we define intelligence itself?
Yeah.
Can we really say that something is intelligent just because it can pass a test? Or is there something more to it, something that we can't quite measure, but we can feel?
That's a question that's probably going to keep philosophers and scientists,
Yeah.
debating for years to come.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a question for all of us to consider, as these technologies become more and more a part of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, it's our experiences, our perceptions, that will shape how we understand and relate to AI. So we want to hear from you. Have you had an experience with AI that felt unexpectedly real or capable or insightful? Share your stories in the comments below, because the future of AI might be less about what we can measure and more about what we can feel. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.